It's the worst feeling, right? You've had a killer idea in your head all day and there's nothing more you want to do than get home and finally get it written down. You even blocked out a couple hours after dinner for such the occasion, like the disciplined son of a gun you are. But then you sit there and nothing. You've been struck by a very unsmooth criminal known as writer's block. Yes, sir. Took a one-way ticket to Blocksville, veered off course and ended up in No Idea Tropolis. A full send to Blanco Town. But you don't want to end the day feeling like you fumbled an opportunity to get something productive done, because that's the goal, making progress with your work. And writer's block tries to keep you chilling at a cool 0 miles per hour. I found for me personally, writer's block rears its ugly head for one of these 5 causes. Pressure. This was the time slot you made to get some writing done, and you're fucking it up. Now it's been an hour and you've only written a half-baked page of garbage that you're likely going to delete the next time you read it. No inspiration. The desire to write is there. The creative spark might be out of office, which creates this rush job where you're just grasping at straws, hoping to write something substantial before a true lack of motivation settles in. Burnout. Maybe you've been a writing powerhouse lately. Brain's been working like a machine, and now all of a sudden, you've taken a 404 error straight to the dome. Almost as if you're mentally spent on this idea and working on it feels like a chore. The boring part. Let me be clear, you should not have a boring part in your story. Because if it's boring to you, then Lord, it's gonna be fucking boring to me. But let's be real. There are scenes and moments in your story that you favor over others. And those favorites are the ones you're really excited to write. But maybe before you get to tackle that awesome scene, you might have to get through a couple plot points that seem a little more boring to you. And then writer's block sets up shop and you don't know what to do to get through that rough patch. An off day. There's no rhyme or reason to this one. Sometimes you just got the funk, and it makes your writing sesh a huge slump fest. These are the 5 biggest culprits to my writing productivity. And I know there's a ton more I didn't include, so feel free to share in the comments other ways writer's block can come creeping up into your space. Okay, so how do I overcome these obstacles? First thing I do every single time for any of these reasons, and I'm gonna say this a lot more in the video, the first thing I do is stop. Literally stop writing. Freeze all motor functions. Get up, get out, leave. Just go. You have writer's block. Accept it. It's pretty unlikely you'll write something stellar, even if you try and fight through it. But you have all this pent-up creativity and hype. What the hell are you supposed to do if I told you to stop writing? I only mean stop whatever it is that's giving you writer's block. Don't toss out the whole day and not write at all. You could still make progress. When I'm drawing my comic pages, I can try to get that facial expression down or the right anatomy pose, and it's not happening. But it needs to. This is my official comic page after all. But when I shift to a more relaxed setting, like crappily sketching around in my sketchbook, I can draw whatever I've been struggling with much quicker. Why? I think it's because I'm more relaxed and don't care about the small errors. Well, the same can happen with writing too. That final draft file you dubbed version 1 feels pretty official. Whatever you write on there is going to be the first version of your story, and that can be a little intimidating. So stop writing on there. I can get in my head that although this is my first draft, and it will be corrected and changed countless more times, I still don't want to mess things up. I want this to be the perfect first draft. But now I'm writing at a snail's pace. But all of a sudden, when I write random ideas on my iPhone notes page, my fingers are flying. It's loose. There's no formal structure. My only goal is to get the ideas or the flow down. Compare that to the 15 minutes I spent on the computer writing the same dialogue blurb over and over and over and over. I was way more productive on the unofficial document. After an easy transfer of copying, pasting, and some touch-ups, I suddenly have 5 written pages on the official file, even though I didn't write any of it on my computer. In both the drawing and writing examples where my creativity hit a wall, I stopped what I was doing and took the pressure off by continuing my work on a less dramatic platform. Not feeling inspired? Same deal. Stop what you're doing. You need to find your inspo. Not in general, just the inspiration to want to keep doing your story. The easiest way to do this is to re-immerse yourself in the things that inspired your story in the first place. If I ever get slumped working on my comic Blood in the Land, links in the description, I might watch some Last of Us gameplay or Walking Dead clips. Yeah, I've seen them before, but I need to see them again in this very moment. Just fire up my apocalyptic exposure and get me back in the vibe. Notice I didn't say playing The Last of Us or sitting down and binging The Walking Dead on Netflix. I remember hearing this concept artist on YouTube say, and I can't remember the channel, it's been years, I'm sorry, but I remember him saying to never stop your work to go turn on a video game for inspo. You say it's for inspo, but then 4 hours fly by and you've completely moved on from your work. Now you're just playing video games. You need to expose yourself to inspiring content without getting personally sucked in. The easy solution? Watch other people play the game. You can still get the energy and atmosphere the game inspires. But because you're not the one that's actually playing, there's a disconnect that makes it easier for you to pull away or click out and return to your work when that spark comes back. Creative fingers have been worked to the bone, and all that mental energy spent on your story is starting to buckle. Pretty opportune time for writer's block to slip right in and throw you out of whack. My main solution to this is, you guessed it, stop what you're doing. But my head will still be bursting with all this unused creative energy, and if I don't use it, I'm gonna be up all night with insomnia or racing mind syndrome or something. Hey, I feel that, and the burnout might just be for the project you're working on right now. Try relocating that hyperbrain power to a different idea. I'm sure you have a couple swirling in your head. I always have a couple of other story ideas in development that I can jump into whenever writer's block from burnout happens. For Blood in the Land, it's my main comic, it's my main work. But drawing pages and scripting chapters and working with the same world and characters 24/7 can get a little draining. When that happens, I find that my creative mind naturally wanders to my other story ideas, where things aren't as figured out, and crazy left field ideas are still open for consideration. This system works better if your other ideas are further behind in production than your main work. Having multiple ideas in different stages can feel refreshing because it's just so different from what you've been currently working on. Like, I'm not actually working on 2 or 3 comic series at a time. The only one I'm currently drawing and marketing is Blood in the Land. Again, links in the description. But during those burnout periods, it's way easier to spend some time scripting my other series or working on a beat sheet for another idea and let Blood in the Land take a breather. And I honestly rarely experience true burnout because of this approach. I can mentally jump to a different area of creativity and still make progress on that front until I'm ready to return to my main work, which doesn't take more than a couple days. And while it may not feel like it in the moment, any progress in any of your stories, that's good progress, because you are going to return to those other ideas sooner or later after your main work is finished. Let me say this one more time. Don't have actual boring parts in your story. I swear to God. Make every scene have a purpose. Like I said earlier, you might be stuck on a scene because it's not as exciting as that epic fight or huge reveal that you've been just itching to write. My answer? Any guesses? Stop with the boring parts for now. And just write the next scene, or the scene you want. Just keep writing and make that progress. You'll obviously have to come back to the part that was giving you writer's block. But in this very moment, better to crush out 10 pages from the 3rd act now and figure out that boring act 1 another day. Bulldozing over the tough parts and writing the more fleshed out ideas does a couple of things for your psyche. Number 1, it lets you see how the fleshed out ideas actually fit into your story. Number 2, while writing, you may notice these amazing ideas actually have more problems than you realized. This opens the creative door for you to figure out how they can be fixed so it connects better to the missing scenes you skipped over thanks to writer's block. Number 3, the super fleshed out scenes, while existing in your head, probably dominated the think space. How could they not? They are the most thought out and engaging parts of your idea. But once you take the time to write it on the page, you create a vacuum in your imagination where new energy needs to be invested in fixing those scenes or improving other scenes. Like, say, I don't know, the boring parts in your story. All of a sudden, in order to make your awesome scenes work better, figuring out those previously boring scenes is actually a lot more fun than it originally was. In summary, you stop letting the writer's block fester in the less formulated ideas, power through to the... What was that, a whip? Power through. Fuck, writer's block. Power through the ideas that have been hogging through your creative energy, and then come back to the trouble areas with a refreshed and clean mind. If all those other tactics didn't work, might just be an off day for you, and that's totally chill. This is the only time I'd advocate to fully removing yourself from writing. Yes, I'm saying to completely stop writing for the day. It sucks, but it's better to just take the L. Because clearly your mind needs rest, and you can reinvigorate it by doing other activities. I find my head clears and ideas come back to me like after a run, or even just getting some fresh air with a walk. Music helps a ton, while showering, cooking, doing chores. Sometimes watching a movie or binging a show is a move. Not to regain inspo, but to regain your mojo. You may strongly disagree with not writing at all. Hey, I get it. You have a busy schedule, and this writing slot was a prepared sacred time for you to get some shit done. You can force it, but I don't think you'll enjoy it. And I know writing is sometimes a job that won't always be the most perfect and enjoyable occasion ever, but writing blocks tend to be a sign, at least for me, that I've slipped up on having fun with things. And the segments in this video are ways to help my creativity and passion flow again. So, I hope something here helped cure the blue balls your writer's block has given you, and you were able to churn out a page or two, or a beat sheet, or anything to help progress your idea in some form. Because when suffering with writing writer's block, any progression that's made, that's the real dub. Speaking of the whole any progress is good progress, a like and subscribe will go a long way in helping me make more videos like this. You clearly need more content to help you procrastinate. Now, if you're experiencing these issues and distractions every time you sit down to write, you might just have a discipline problem, which sounds like a good topic for a future video. Despite all this talk about overcoming writer's block, I still couldn't think of a good ending to this video. So that's all. Stop watching and go write your shit.